Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, team, for the invitation. It's a really pleasure to be here. I would like to share you some information about pesticide use in Peruvian agriculture, and especially in potato crop as a case study. I'm going to talk about 3 points. First, about a general problem in Peruvian agriculture. Next, about a study where I collect information about the pesticide use in potato crop. And finally, I'm going to say some preliminary conclusions about this study. The pesticide use in my country is a complex issue, no, as in other development countries. But I'm gonna share you some information about our experience, and I am trying to summarize it. Okay. There are some problems related with Peruvian agriculture, such as land use change, water quality, water supplies, irrigation techniques, climate change, and pest management and pesticide use. These last issues could cause high losses of yields and money, especially in smallholders. Pests attacks the crops, and they are not controlled efficiently. On the other hand, growers spend a large part of their budget by pesticides. Also, in the country, there are some laws and regulations about food safety and pesticides, and the governmental institution in charge of this is SENASA. But it is not enough. In spite of this, local farmers continue to use pesticides in an unsafe way. And it is a big issue, no, in Peruvian agriculture. Potato is one of the most important crops in Peru. It is produced in Peruvian highland and some part of the coast. But the farmers use different varieties, no, and have different problems in each one. Well, in Peruvian highlands, the farmers are smallholders, no? And potato producers are smallholders. 48.5% of the potato their harvest is for self-consumption, and 50.15% is for local market. Only 1.4% is used by seed. Also, small farmers have different problems, like technical assistance. They don't have technical assistance to help them make decisions about their problems. No? Also, about the pest management, the potato crops are affected by key pests like Phytophthora infestans. It is a fungi that causes the main disease in potato, and Prenotripes, that it is an insect. Both of them produce high losses in potato crops. Well, now I want to share you some preliminary findings about a study that we carry out in potato crop, no? Related with pesticide use. The study was about estimate environmental impact of pesticide use in potato crop. We carry out this study in order to identify the pesticide most used and their classification. And next, estimate environmental impact through environmental impact quotient. And finally, propose better pest control practices for the farmers. I'm gonna share you only the first part, no, of this study about the pesticides and their classification. We choose one of the most important district producer of potato in Peruvian highland. Junín is one of our region in Peruvian highland, and potato is one of the most important crop there. Our study was carried out in Guasaguasi. This community is one of the most important producer, and it is about 2,751 meters above sea level. This community has a good condition for potato crops, but the farmers have some problems to produce. Okay. We work with 334 farmers of one community of Guasaguasi. And we applied surveys to collect information about characteristic of smallholders, their agricultural practices, and pesticide use. Okay, I'm going to show you some preliminary findings about some characteristics of smallholders, in potato producers. About education, we found 51.5% of the farmers only have primary education, 40.4% only have secondary education, and 1.8% don't have any education. On the other hand, 6.3% have technical education. Also, 77.2% don't have technical education, don't have technical assistance. It is a part of the problem. Also, 41.9% never wear personal protective equipment. We found 71 active ingredients that farmers use. Of all pesticides used, 29% were insecticides, 30% were herbicides, and 41% were fungicides. Okay, I'm gonna show you some of the active ingredients that the farmers use. The IRAC, FRAC, and IRAC code or classification, and their chemical group. Also, we found that the pesticide that the farmers use belong to different classification by hazard. No? This is the classification recommended by World Health Organization. For example, carbofuran belongs to highly hazardous category. Metamidophos is slightly hazardous, and cypermethrin is moderately hazardous. Also, about fungicides, the farmers use different active ingredients, but simosanil plus mancozeb was the most used. Okay, this is the percentage about the most used pesticides. Fipronil was the most used insecticide by the potato farmers with 22.4%, and also oxamil and carbofuran were one of the most used. No? Glyphosate was the herbicide, the most used herbicide with 69.9%. And about fungicide, simosanil plus mancozeb was the most used fungicide with 40.8%. It is related with Phytophthora infestan attack because it is the fungicide that farmers use for control this disease. Okay, when the pesticide is applied in any crop, it has a target. No? For example, an insect or a mite or a fungi, no? etc. But also pesticides have a dynamic in our ecosystem, and they could produce effects on the environment and human health. Related with the environment, pesticides can produce toxic effects in animals, in plants, soil, water, and air. Unrelated human health, the toxic effects depends of the exposure and the absorption into the body. Okay, there are several research about the toxic effects of the pesticide on the environment. No? I show you some of them, no? About toxic effects on honeybee or vertebrates and invertebrates. But I'm gonna share you some information that Otieno et al. Said about the effects of pesticides on the environment. For example, about the effects on the water. They said the environmental distribution and exposure of residues in water which pose risk when used for domestic purposes or as drinking water for animals. No? It said it means that the residues of pesticides could arrive to the water, no? To the water sources, and contaminate animals and humans. No? Also about surface soil contamination, no? They said it was high because of runoff into the dams and rivers, as well as through secondary exposure to small birds and mammals. And it is a big issue in some agroecosystems. Well, about human health, toxic effects of pesticides on human health. There are some information, some research about that. I show you some of them. Most of these studies were in vitro on animals, but the researcher found toxic effects like hematological and immunological effects in the organism. Also neurodegenerative diseases. In my country, there are no enough research about the effects on human health. It is a problem. Okay, as I said, pesticide use and its effects are a complex issue, in my country and other countries, and it deserves more analysis. We have more information of our study in potato crop, but I want to say some preliminary conclusion about our study. First, most used pesticides were fipronil, carbofuran, oxamil as insecticides, glyphosate as herbicides, and simosanil plus mancozeb as fungicides. They are different toxicological characteristics, but farmers still use highly hazardous pesticides. And it is a really big issue because the consumers are in risk. There is high risk for exposure because the farmers don't use any protection like personal protective equipment. And finally, pesticide use in potato crops are potentially hazardous for the environment and human health. In Peru, it is necessary more information, more research about pesticide use and other issues like pesticide exposure, safety issues, risk assessment. I hope in some next years we can do it. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much.